It's the Law.
Welcome to It's the Law, a program produced and presented by the Guyana Association of Women Lawyers. On this program, a member of the association gives us an in-depth look at Guyana's laws. On today's program, Judy Stewart-Adonis will be talking about adoption, cyberbullying and the dangers of technology on children, and sexual assault on adults.
Hello, good day. I am Judy Stewart-Adonis. I'm an executive member from the Guyana Association of Women Lawyers. And today we're going to be looking at the topic adoption. Now, what is adoption? So, adoption is the legal process whereby parental rights to a child are transferred permanently from the biological parents to the other person who are not the natural parents of that child, or what we call the adoptive parent. Adopted child is treated by the law as if he or she is the natural child of the adopter and has full legal rights to the property of the adopted parents. In deciding whether to make an adoption order, the welfare of the child is the court's first and most important consideration. And the law relating to the adoption in Guyana is set out in the Adoption of Children Act, Chapter 4604. Now, who can be adopted? So, a person can be adopted if they're under the 18 years old, who have never been married and who lives in Guyana. And persons who can adopt would be a Guyanese national, and if you live in Guyana, or a Guyanese national, and if you live outside of Guyana, or a former Guyanese national who has acquired the citizenship of another country, or a non-Guyanese, and if you're between 18 to 65 years old and the age difference between yourself and the child is not more than 50 years or less than 17 years. Now, how do I apply for an adoption order? So the first step is to apply to the Child Care and Protection Agency for a recommendation that you be allowed to adopt a child. So first, you must go to the agency in person and you must take the child and the parent of the child with you. And the following documents would be required. So you have your birth certificates of yourself and the child, your marriage certificate or your decree absolute if you have one, death certificate of the parent of the child if the parent is deceased, police clearance of both of the applicants. What is the process of adoption? So, where the parent, guardian, or other person who has consent to the adoption of the child and has consented to the adoption, or it has been decided to ask the court to waive the consent, the Child Care and Protection Agency will issue a letter consenting to act as a guardian ad litem of the child. Now, the adoptive parent must then take that letter to their attorney so that the application can be made to the court for the appointment of the agency. Now, once that guardian ad litem order is granted, then the applicants must submit a certified copy of the order to the agency for preparations to be made for the adoption board hearing. The duty of the agency, again, like the court, is to safeguard the interests of the child. So the agency or an officer from the agency will visit your home to make investigations concerning the adoption of the child and submit a report on its investigations to the adoption board and the court. Now, if the adoption board, after the investigation and interviewing you at the hearing, finds you suitable to adopt the child, the agency will give you a letter recommending that the child be placed in your care and custody for the duration of the adoption process. Your attorney may then file an application to the High Court that the child be placed in the care and custody of the adopter. The court may then make an order authorizing the adoption of a child. Now, it's important to note, finally, that the effect of an adoption order extinguishes the legal rights and obligations and duties of the natural parents in relation to the adopted child and grants and imposes those parental rights and obligations and duties on the adoptive parent. Now, what is cyberbullying? So, cyberbullying is when a person uses digital technology to deliberately and repeatedly harass, humiliate, embarrass, torment, threaten, pick, or intimidate another person. Now, cyberbullying can happen in many ways. Text messages, emails, online games, social media such as TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I'm sure we all know of this. And examples of cyberbullying include posting or sending messages that threaten people or put people down, leaving people out on online games or social forums, spreading nasty rumors online about people, setting up unkind or unpleasant fake social media accounts, on using real photos and contact details, trolling and stalking people online, sharing or forwarding persons' personal information without their permission, posting insulting or embarrassing photos or videos of people without their permission. So, what are the effects of cyberbullying in children? Now, cyberbullying often leaves children and teenagers with lower self-esteem, less interest in school, low academic achievement. Children and teenagers who experience cyberbullying might feel confused by changes in their friendship groups. They might also feel alone, lonely, and isolated. So, how do we talk to our children about cyberbullying? Now, talking with your child is one of the best ways to help your child avoid cyberbullying. It's best to start talking about cyberbullying when your child first starts to use social media. I know that sometimes, we give the kids tablets and then we leave them, or their cell phones. So, for example, cyberbullying is sending mean text messages or spreading rumors on social media, ganging up or excluding someone in an online game, or sharing embarrassing photos with other people. So, how do we help to avoid cyberbullying? What are the technology rules to help us to avoid that? First of all, you advise your children accept only people they know online as friends and followers. Don't give out your passwords. Check or update your privacy settings so that strangers can't view your children's photos. And most importantly, and this of course applies to all of us, think before you post. So if your child posts personal comments, photos, or videos, they might get unwanted attention or negative comments. And of course, people can, like modern day, screenshot or download the comments and photos and share and post them anywhere. And they will be online, unfortunately, for a very long time. And lastly, tell your teacher or a trusted person. Now, cyberbullying. Now, the act that governs cybercrime offenses, because it is an offense, is the Cybercrime Act number 16 of 2018. What does this act seeks to do? I've never heard of this act, you might ask. Well, this act seeks to combat cybercrime by creating offenses of cybercrime to provide for penalties, investigation, and prosecution of the offenses and other related matters. So yes, it is a crime. There are penalties and offenses. We will be discussing a very serious topic, sexual assault, in particular on an adult. And the sexual offenses, this is governed by Act number 7 of 2010, the Sexual Offences Act 2010. Now, under Section 4 of the Act, a person or the accused commits the offense of sexual assault if the accused touches another person or the complainant in a sexual way, causes the complainant to touch the accused in a sexual way, causes the complainant to touch a third party in a sexual way, or otherwise indecently assaults the complainant within the meaning of any other law. The complainant does not consent to the touching or act which would constitute indecent assault, and the accused does not reasonably believe that the complainant consents. A person who commits an offense under this section or this act is liable on the summary conviction to imprisonment for 5 years and on conviction and indictment to imprisonment for 10 years. Now, within the act sets out the proceedings, and under section 45, which relates to exclusion from public hearing, it states that in proceedings where the accused is charged with an offense under this act, the presiding judge or magistrate shall order the exclusion of members of the public, including the media, from the courtroom for the duration of the proceedings. Of course, unless the judge or magistrate is of the opinion that such an order is not necessary. Additionally, the factors that the court takes into account when ordering the exclusion of the members of the public, the court considers the nature of the sexual offenses and the consequences of public disclosure of the details of such an offenses on the life of the complainant, the balance between the interests of justice in generally holding criminal proceedings in public and the potential prejudice to the complainant's personal dignity, the right to privacy, the right of the complainant and of every individual to personal security and to the full protection and benefit of the law, and any other factor that the judge considers relevant. So in summing up, the Act protects victims from public scrutiny, victim shaming, pre-trial publicity. So, of course, the Act is applicable to both genders, and of course, the Act encourages persons who have been sexually assaulted to report the matter to the police, and of course, it makes provisions for the exclusion of members of the public, so that person feels safe in the trial. Thank you.
You have been listening to It's the Law, a program produced and presented by the Guyana Association of Women's Lawyers. The contents of this program are not to be taken instead of legal advice.